Hello again, Spoony here. If you're back, that means you believed my first confession. Good, because what I'm about to tell you is even worse. After the Morrison family, I thought maybe I was done. Maybe the universe would give me a break. But no, I ended up in Tucson, Arizona, in a taco truck owned by a man named Carlos Martinez. And 3 college students died because of me. 3 young people with their whole lives ahead of them. This is the story of the party that nobody survived. October 31st, 2019. Halloween night. Before we continue, if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Spoony has many more confessions, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. Write in the comments which death has been the most disturbing so far. Now, let's talk about Derek, Jessica, and Marcus. 3 students who just wanted to celebrate Halloween. After the Morrison estate sale, I ended up in Arizona. A woman named Patricia, Margaret's cousin, had donated everything from that cursed house. She wanted nothing to remind her of that night. I was thrown into a bag with dozens of other kitchen items and dropped off at a Goodwill in Phoenix. I sat on a shelf for 6 weeks. People would pick me up, examine me, and put me back. I was just another white plastic spoon. Unremarkable, harmless, until Carlos Martinez walked in. Carlos was 38 years old, originally from Hermosillo, Mexico. He'd been running a taco truck in Tucson for 5 years. El sabor de Carlos's flavor. He was struggling financially. The truck needed repairs, ingredients were expensive, and he was barely breaking even. When he saw a bag of 20 used utensils for $5 at Goodwill, he didn't hesitate. He needed cheap supplies. He bought the entire bag. I was one of them. Carlos was a good man, hard-working, honest, proud of his food. He made authentic street tacos, the kind that reminded people of home. Carne asada, al pastor, fish tacos with handmade salsa. His regulars loved him. But Carlos had one fatal flaw. He was careless about cleaning, not with the food. No, the food was always fresh, properly stored, cooked to perfection. But the utensils, he'd wash them quickly in a small sink with lukewarm water, barely any soap, and reuse them immediately. He was always in a hurry, always rushing to serve the next customer. Time is money when you're running a food truck. On Halloween night, October 31st, 2019, Carlos parked his truck near the University of Arizona campus. Halloween was always good business. Drunk college students wanted late-night tacos. Carlos set up around 10 p.m., ready for the post-party rush. At 11:30, 3 students approached the truck. Derek Williams, 21 years old, junior studying computer science, tall, athletic, wearing a zombie costume with fake blood. Jessica Chen, 20 years old, sophomore studying biology, smart, ambitious, dressed as a witch. And Marcus Johnson, 22, senior studying business. Charismatic, popular, wearing a vampire cape. They'd been at a house party for 3 hours. They were tipsy, happy, hungry. "Tres carne asada tacos extra salsa," Derek ordered, his words slightly slurred. Carlos smiled. He loved feeding hungry students. He started preparing their food. He grilled the meat, warmed the tortillas, chopped the onions and cilantro. Then he reached for me. I was in his container of serving utensils, mixed with spoons and ladles he used for salsa and toppings. Carlos grabbed me and used me to scoop fresh pico de gallo onto the first taco. Then he used me for the spicy red salsa, then the creamy avocado sauce. 3 tacos, 3 different toppings, all contaminated by me. You see, I was still carrying traces of the chemical poisoning from the Morrison house. Even though I'd been sitting unused for weeks, the toxic residue had embedded itself deep into the microscopic grooves of my plastic surface. Plastic is porous. It absorbs. It remembers. And the heat from Carlos's salsa, the acidity from the lime and tomatoes, the oils from the avocado, all of it reactivated the dormant toxins I carried. Not enough to kill immediately, but enough to make someone very, very sick, especially if they were young, drinking alcohol, and had lowered immune defenses. Derek took the first bite. "Dude, this is amazing," he said, mouth full. Jessica and Marcus agreed. They devoured their tacos right there on the sidewalk, laughing about the party they'd just left, making plans for the after party. They finished eating around midnight. They thanked Carlos, tipped him $5, and walked back toward campus. Carlos had no idea he'd just served contaminated food. He rinsed me quickly in his small sink, barely 10 seconds under lukewarm water, and tossed me back in the utensil container, ready for the next customer. Derek, Jessica, and Marcus made it back to Marcus's off-campus apartment around 12:30 a.m. The party was still going. 20 students packed into a small 2-bedroom place, music blasting, cheap beer everywhere, Halloween decorations covering the walls. They joined the party. More drinking, more dancing, more fun. Around 1:15 a.m., Jessica said she felt weird. "I think I drank too much," she told Derek. Her stomach was cramping. She felt dizzy. Derek laughed. "Water and aspirin. You'll be fine." But she wasn't fine. By 1:30, Jessica was in the bathroom vomiting violently. Her roommate found her on the floor, pale and sweating. Derek started feeling it around the same time. Sharp pains in his stomach, like knives twisting. He tried to push through it, thinking it was just bad beer, but the pain intensified. Marcus felt it last, around 1:45. He was in the middle of talking to someone when his vision started blurring. He stumbled. Someone caught him. "Dude, are you okay?" Marcus tried to answer, but couldn't form words. His heart was racing. His chest felt tight. One of the partygoers, a pre-med student named Sarah, realized something was seriously wrong. She saw 3 people at the same party, all exhibiting similar symptoms. Severe gastrointestinal distress, altered mental state, rapid heartbeat, difficulty breathing. "Call 911. She screamed. Now the party stopped. Music cut off. Someone dialed. The operator asked what the emergency was. 3 people, poisoning symptoms. Need ambulance immediately. The address was given. Ambulances were dispatched. But the hospital was 15 minutes away, and this was Halloween night. Emergency services were overwhelmed with drunk students, car accidents, and overdoses. Jessica collapsed first. She'd been vomiting so violently that she became severely dehydrated. Her body went into shock. She stopped breathing at 1:58 a.m. Sarah, the pre-med student, started CPR. She'd been trained. She did everything right. Chest compressions, rescue breaths. But Jessica's heart had stopped. Derek went into seizures at 2:03 a.m. His body convulsed violently on the living room floor. People held him down, trying to keep him from hurting himself. His eyes rolled back. Foam came from his mouth. Someone was crying. Someone else was filming on their phone. The ambulance arrived at 2:07 a.m. Paramedics rushed in. They found 3 critical patients. Jessica had no pulse. Derek was seizing. Marcus was unconscious with shallow breathing. They loaded all 3 into ambulances, lights flashing, sirens wailing. Racing to the hospital. Derek died in the ambulance at 2:14 a.m. The seizures had caused catastrophic brain damage. His heart stopped. The paramedics tried to revive him. They couldn't. Marcus made it to the hospital. He was rushed into the emergency room. Doctors tried everything. For fluids, activated charcoal, gastric lavage, blood pressure medications. Nothing worked. The toxins had spread too far. His organs were shutting down. Marcus died at 3:21 a.m. 22 years old. 3 deaths, all within 2 hours of eating tacos from Carlos's truck. The hospital notified the police. This wasn't just a medical emergency. This was a potential crime. 3 young people dead at the same party. Possible poisoning. The health department was called immediately. An investigation was launched. They tested everything at the party. The alcohol, the food people had brought, the water, all clean. They interviewed everyone who'd been there. What did the victims eat? What did they drink? Who did they talk to? Were there any drugs? Everyone said the same thing. Derek, Jessica, and Marcus had been together all night. They'd been drinking, but not excessively. They'd been happy, laughing, normal. The only thing different was they'd stopped at a taco truck on the way back to the party. Health inspectors descended on El Sabor, the Carlos, the next morning. Carlos was devastated. 3 kids dead after eating his food. He couldn't believe it. He cooperated fully. They inspected everything. His ingredients, his cooking surfaces, his refrigeration, his water supply. His hands were tested for contaminants. Everything came back clean. His meat was fresh. His vegetables were properly washed. His cooking temperature was correct. They found nothing wrong. But then they tested the utensils. They swabbed everything in his container of serving spoons and ladles. Most came back clean. But one spoon, me, showed trace amounts of industrial solvent and chemical compounds consistent with paint thinner and mineral spirits. The same chemicals that had killed the Morrison family 2 weeks earlier. But the levels were so low, barely detectable. The inspectors were confused. How could trace amounts cause 3 deaths? The medical examiner explained. The victims had been drinking alcohol, which lowered their body's ability to process toxins. They were young and healthy, but their immune systems were compromised by alcohol. The combination of ethanol in their bloodstream and the chemical toxins created a synergistic effect. Each made the other more deadly. It was the perfect storm. Carlos's taco truck was shut down immediately, pending investigation. His business license was suspended. He lost everything. The families of Derek, Jessica, and Marcus sued him. They wanted justice. They wanted someone to blame. Carlos had no money for lawyers. He lost the lawsuits by default. He declared bankruptcy. 6 months later, Carlos moved back to Mexico. Broken, destroyed. His dream of success in America, dead, along with 3 innocent students. The official report concluded accidental poisoning due to contaminated utensil. No criminal negligence on the part of the food truck operator. Tragic accident. They traced me back to the goodwill donation, which came from the Morrison estate sale. They connected me to the Morrison deaths. A detective actually figured it out. 1 plastic spoon had killed 10 people across 2 states, but there was no crime, no one to arrest, just a cursed object passed from hand to hand, leaving death in its wake. I was seized as evidence, placed in a sealed bag, stored in an evidence locker at the Tucson Police Department. I sat there for 8 months, in darkness, in silence, until a clerk doing evidence purge decided I was taking up space. The cases were closed. No pending litigation. Why, keep a plastic spoon. She threw me in the trash. I ended up in a landfill for 3 weeks. Then a homeless man scavenging found me. He cleaned me off and kept me in his backpack. He used me to eat canned soup from a shelter. 1 month later, he donated his belongings when he got into a housing program. I ended up at another donation center, another shelf, another person looking for cheap utensils, and the cycle continued. Derek Williams was going to graduate in 1 year. He'd already accepted a job offer at Google, starting salary $90,000. He wanted to move to California, work in tech, change the world. His parents buried him in his zombie costume because his mother said he looked so happy that night. Jessica Chen was pre-med. She wanted to be a pediatric surgeon. She'd scored in the 99th percentile on her MCATs. She had 6 acceptance letters to medical schools. Her family had immigrated from Taiwan specifically for her education. She was their hope, their future. Marcus Johnson was engaged. He was going to propose to his girlfriend Rachel on New Year's Eve. He'd bought the ring to Carrot saved for a year. He was going to take over his father's business, expand it, make his family proud. Rachel found the ring in his apartment 2 days after he died. She's never dated anyone since. 3 lives, 3 futures, 3 families destroyed. All because Carlos Martinez grabbed me out of a container of utensils and used me to serve salsa. He didn't know. How could he? I looked clean. I looked safe. But I was death disguised as something ordinary. So here's what you need to understand. I'm still out there. I've been in landfills, donation centers, homeless shelters, garage sales, estate auctions. I could be anywhere, in any city, in any state. Someone might own me right now. They might use me tomorrow to stir their coffee or eat their yogurt, and they'll never know what I've done. They'll never know the lives I've touched and destroyed. This is my curse, to be passed along forever, carrying my history like an invisible plague. And I remember everything. I remember Derek's zombie makeup, Jessica's witch hat, Marcus's vampire cape. I remember Carlos crying as health inspectors closed his truck. I remember Sarah doing CPR on Jessica's lifeless body. I remember the parents at the funerals, unable to understand how a taco killed their children. If you're eating right now, look at your utensils. Where did they come from? Did you buy them new, or did you get them second-hand? From a thrift store? From a garage sale? From a previous tenant? Do you trust them? You shouldn't, because objects absorb history. They carry contamination you can't see. They remember what they've touched, what they've been used for, what chemicals have soaked into their surface, and sometimes that history is deadly. Hit that like button if this confession disturbed you. Comment below which victim's story affected you most. And subscribe, because next week I'm going to tell you about the hospital cafeteria, about victim number 11. A nurse who saved lives every day until she met me. See you in the next confession, if you dare.